everybody, welcome to Dakman Productions and welcome to MTH Rail. In this video we'll be discussing Gargraves track, but before we do, just would like to mention that I finally got my next sample shirt in the mail today after a 2-week long wait where it was saying, okay, expected arrival was this date, then it changed to that date, then it says to be announced by the delivery carrier. I've never seen that happen before, but anyway, I'm happy to have it. This is what I call my film reel art design. So this is available on the Dakman Productions Teespring store, the Apparel store. So I bought this for a sample so everybody can see it. I just uploaded a new art design called the Dakman Rail Locomotive art t-shirt. So I can't wait to order a sample of that. And also, I do watch other YouTube channels as well, because, we all know each other, and I like seeing what everybody else is doing. I just don't stick to my own channel and do my own thing and then shut it off and don't see anybody else's. I like to see what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is up to. So, I was watching a channel called Nixcrossing, Nixcrossing, and on that channel they had they were actually mentioning Dakman Productions, which thank you very much, by the way, for the plug-in of my channel on your channel. And they were asking if I was wearing a MTH Rail t-shirt when I was at Northlandz, and no, I wore the Dakman Production ones instead. I'll be ordering samples of the MTH Rail shirt soon so everybody can see it and then finally wear it. So I guess people were kind of like expecting me to wear it when I was going out at Northlandz, but I wanted to have the Dakman Production ones instead. But I'll get a sample run here shortly of that within the next couple weeks. I'll show it off to everybody. Okay, so going back to the subject at hand, we're going to talk about Gargraves track. Now, there's several track options out there. You have Gargaves, you have Atlas, you have Lionel Fast Track, MTH Realtrax. You have tubular track. There's all kinds of track options out there, and in this video we're just going to discuss Gargraves. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about Fast Track and the what to stay away from and what the advantages are and the good points and the bad points, check out a YouTube channel called Sid's Trains. He did a real nice video on the Lionel Fast Track, and he points out different things. He does a good job. He tells you which fast track to stay away from, and it's problematic. And then he also tells you the pieces of fast track that is good and it's okay to use. So basically, he goes over. There's a couple pieces of fast track that he says that does overheat because of the length of them. And so those pieces will end up melting later on. But he goes over all that in his video of the advantages, disadvantages, what to stay away from, what's good, what's not good. So check out Sid's Trains on that. And you'll see the link in this video to Sid's Trains. He does a real nice job on that video. Another good video is one made by Country Bunkers. He's sort of new to O-Gauge, but he seems to be doing a very good job as well. And he goes over the MTH Realtrax, and he does the same exact thing. I know there's not a lot of fans of MTH Realtrax, and he does mention that, but he tells you what's good, what's not, what you should do and not do, and how to make it work, and what the problems are, and how to realize what those problems are, so when you put your stuff together, you don't have connection issues. And he goes through all that, and he does a nice job of that video. So I will also have a link to Country Bunkers' channel as well in this video. He did a real nice job on that. So there's your two sources. You got Lionel Fast Track Sid's Trains and MTH Realtrax Country Bunkers YouTube channel. So I'm going to do Gargaves. I don't know if anybody's done one or not. It really doesn't matter. I like to do my own thing, and since I use Gargaves, I'm going to cover it. So what we have here today, I'm going to unbox while I'm talking to everybody, because I like to do something in this video other than just bore you to death and talk about. But Gargraves track and Atlas O track are mainly used by high railers. High railers are O-scale people. They have true scale trains, which are prototypical, true 1/48 dimensions, and so their choice is to use prototypically looking track. So the two biggest choices is Atlas O and Gargraves. There's also Ross that's out there, and there's one more that I'm missing. But the two most popular ones is Atlas O and Gargraves. So the difference between Atlas O and Gargraves is that Atlas O is a solid rail and uses rail joiners. The Gargraves track is hollow and it uses pins instead. And I started using Gargraves track because back in 2015, when I got back in the O gauge and started Conahay Rail, it was a lot more plentiful, it was relatively cheap, and you could find it everywhere. Where Atlas O was expensive, you couldn't hardly get any, and they were way behind on production, and I didn't want to wait years to build my layout, because I hate that. I gotta have it. I'm one of those, I have to have it now, not 10 years from now. So we're going to unbox this, unbox these track. Now, for those who don't know, a lot of people, because of either COVID or the stimulus checks or whatever is happening, I don't know, but a lot of people must be building layouts, because I tell you, a lot of stock is disappearing quickly. So I went to look for Atlas O 080 curves, and I had a hard time finding it. So I finally found a place that had 4 boxes left, and I bought 2 of them. Even the 072 track. So it seems like Gargraves has run out of running out of both 072 and also 080. They have plenty of the bigger stuff, 089, which that's kind of odd to have that size, and up. And they also have plenty of the 054. But if you, and 063 I think is the next one between that. But if you're looking for 072 or an 080 curves from Gargraves, you're gonna be hard pressed to find it, because it's starting to disappear. Also, I announced in my last podcast video that somebody had donated money to Dakman Productions, and I was going to use that for switches. So I go to order the switches with the money, and I had a panic attack. I'm not even kidding. I use Gargraves 0100 switches, and I know what everybody's saying. Oh, you shouldn't use that. You need to use Ross, blah, 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 whatever. It's my railroad. I'm going to use what I want. So I want Gargraves switches. I'm keeping it all Gargraves right now. My layout's been up for 5 years, and I can tell you by experience what Gargraves switch works and which one doesn't. Just like anything else, there's things that are good, there's things that are bad. For me, the Gargraves 072 and 0100 switches are good. I haven't had any problems with them at all. Is Ross a nice product? Absolutely. But it's also more money. I can buy almost 2 Gargraves switches for the price of Ross. But I'm not a club. I don't run my trains 24/7. So, for me, the Gargaves switches work just fine. But that being said, the Gargraves 100 switches were sold out. Every place I went to, they were gone. Except for there might have been a couple of remotes here and there, and they were ridiculously priced. But I was looking for manual 100 switches. So even Gargraves themselves are out of 100 manual switches, left and right. The expected delivery date of those is not until July. Now, if you just go back to what I just said, I'm not the type of person who wants to wait. And you're like, well, you ain't got no choice if you can't find them. Nope. I took measures in my own hands and remembered that one of my Facebook friends got out of O-Gauge and went into HO because of the MTH sale. So he went Gargraves. He was going to do. I think he had Fast Track, and then he ripped it off and was going Gargraves, but then stopped. But he did buy 100 Gargraves switches because, like I said, they were cheaper. So I bought them from him, and hopefully they'll be here within a week or so. They gotta come from California. And here's my 80 curves from Gargraves. Now, this is what they call, and we'll take a closer look at this. This is what they call a phantom track. That means the center rail is black. I think they're all phantom track now, but the older stuff, you could get phantom and non-phantom. And also, this is wood tie. Now, Gargraves has two different types of track. They got wood tie, and they have plastic tie. Well, once again, there's advantage and disadvantage to everything. So, the plastic tie is very unrealistic looking. It doesn't really look that realistic because, you know, it's black plastic. Sure, you can go in there and paint it all if you really wanted to, I guess. I don't really want to spend the time because I got other things to do in life besides painting each tie on my track, especially when you buy the wooden ones already done. But the nice part about the plastic track is when you go to use the screws, you can really clamp down with the track screws and not have to worry about it. I mean, with the plastic tie. And they got good solid track. It's not going anywhere. The wood tie track is very realistic looking. It looks great. It's nice looking. It's a beautiful piece of track. However, it's also very fragile. And if you pull on it or do something the wrong way, you can break one of these wood ties off. And it doesn't take much to do it. And when you go to screw these down, you have to be very careful. You got to take your time. You got to pre-drill your hole. And then when you put this track screw in it, I use a drill, and I put it on speed 1, which is very slow. And then I put it on a setting where I'm screwing it in a little bit at a time until I see the head just touch the top of the tie. Because if you screw down too much on top of the tie, you'll break it. Then you'll be beating yourself up about it later on. So this is also, while I'm already here, announced that this is going to be part of the MTH Rail update for the summer. Because I got some inside information. I can't tell you who from. It's unofficial. So don't take this officially, because I'm not representative of him. But from what I understand, it's a possibility that the Greenberg train show will not continue until 2022. The World's Greatest Hobby has already announced they're not going to go on until 2022. It looks like Greenberg may follow that, so you might not see a Greenberg show this year. The Great Scale Train Shows trying to have one. They're doing it at a hotel ballroom because the Timonium Cow Palace in Maryland is being used as a COVID vaccine shot facility. So, and I looked at the floor plan, and it looks like they just got vendors and really no layouts going. So, I probably won't end up going to that. Because I go to the train shows just for the club displays to see them run and see the different things. Alright, back to the Gargaves subject. So, the plan is to take and take Conahee Rail and go to 080 on the outside curve. So let's take a closer look at that. So on Conahee Rail, it's a dual mainline track. It comes around and loops around, as you can see. One goes across where I removed the bridge. I got a removable bridge, and the other goes around a horseshoe. But at any rate, the outside rail is 072 and the inside is 054. Since how it looks like I'm going to be stuck inside the house again for the whole year of 2022, I'm going to take the Gargraves 080 that I just got. I got 2 boxes of it. And I bought 2 because I wanted to make sure I had enough, because I got a feeling that this place only had 2 more boxes left, and I got a feeling it's going to sell out, because it's hard to find right now, including 072. But anyway, I'm going to go to 080 out here, and then I'm going to take the 072, recycle that, and put it on the inside rail. And so I'll have 080 on the outside and 072 on the inside, and my trains will run wherever I want them to run, no matter what it is. That's the plan. That's the update. That's the hope and dream. So, and I'm thinking it's going to take a bit to do all that. That's not going to happen overnight, but it's something for me to do. Like I said, it's a wood tie that I picked out instead of plastic. 080 means that it will make an 80-inch diameter circle from center rail to center rail. So that's what 080 means, 072, 054. And you have to watch, because there's a lot of trains out there, especially when you get into scale and high rail. When you get to scale and high rail, the minimum diameter you're going to want is 054. But technically, you're going to really... most of your diesels that are scale and high rail are minimum of 54 and up. Steam locomotives, forget it. You're at 072 and up as far as scale and high rail. So I like the Phantom track. It's got the black center rail. Like I said, it's all Phantom. This is a tin plate that I picked out. They do make stainless steel. And part of the advantage that Atlas O has over Gargraves is that Atlas O you can actually use outside. The Gargraves you cannot, since it's unless I don't even know if you can use the stainless steel outside. But I know a train shop, hobby shop called Hennig's had a outdoor O-gauge layout for 10 years, and it was all Atlas track, and they just did a little light cleaning in the morning and ran their trains, and it was track power. So when it comes to Gargraves track, there's only a couple different sizes of straight pieces you can buy. It doesn't come in sectional straight pieces. So the most common one is 37 inches long, or 3 feet, I call it, just to be rounded off. So you have to have certain tools and be able to do certain things to use Gargraves track. You have to be able to measure things out, cut things, using a die grinder to cut the track, because that's what I do. Use a mini die grinder. It's got a little wheel on it, go across and little die grinder, battery power, or they make them battery powered and corded. I found a trick to cutting these without rolling the rail over. You take a piece of duct tape, you put across here, and that keeps the track from trying to bend on the edges as you cut through the die grinder. But it's not for the person who just wants to put together a layout and not have to do anything. This is not that type of layout track. If you're looking for a track that comes in like 6-inch sections, 8-inch sections, and all these different sizes, Gargaves is not for you. You have to custom cut your own straight sections. And sometimes even custom cutting the curves if they're too long. So you're basically building your layout, customizing track. I suggest if you're looking just to put track together with different sections and different lengths without having to cut anything, you might want to consider Realtrax or Fast Track. A lot of people will lead you to the way of Lionel Fast Track. So this is pretty much for a more advanced O-gauger who doesn't mind cutting, measuring, modifying, all that fun stuff. So just keep that in mind. And of course, Gargraves does not have a road bed. You can buy ballast, such as Brandon's ballast seems to be a favorite of everybody's, and you have to ballast the track yourself. So there's a lot of work to using Gargraves, but as you can see, it does pay off. It's more, in my opinion, it's more realistic looking and for a high rail layout. Alright, so let's take a look at the switch. So here we have a Gargraves switch. So this is a Gargraves 072 switch. It's a manual switch. I'll show you basically how it works. The manual one's got a throw, and it's just a little worm gear that throws the rail. And that's it. They do make them with DZ switch motors already on them. You can buy if you'd rather have electric. I'm going to cover a couple things about the Gargraves switches. First thing, keep in mind, the Gargraves switches do not carry power across them. So once again, if you're used to just putting a switch in and not doing anything else, Gargraves is not for you. You have to be able to do wiring in order to use this switch. So why is that? So let's take a closer look here. There we go. So here we have the center rail. As you can see, the center rail stops here. So the power is going to stop here. So if power comes in, power is going to come in here and stop right there. And it's interrupted. Same way here. Power comes in this end and it stops right here. So if you put this in and you already have, let's say you have another switch already installed somewhere or whatever. I mean, if this is the only switch you're going to have, then really that's not a problem. But if you already have a switch in there, you got to have feeders to this. So the same way here. Here's power here and it stops. So you have to have feeders at all 3 points. And I've said this before, but I don't think people's actually. So Gargraves sells these pigtails. I'm going to tell you right now, these are very fragile. If you're rough handling, don't buy them. Make your own feeders. Alright, so, and you can basically solder the bottom. You don't want to solder to this track, because on the bottom of it, there's nothing to solder to. So if you don't want to use the feeders, you can solder wire to this track, solder wire to that track, and this track. But first, let's show you what you have to do. So let's say you want to use the pigtails. We'll use the pigtails as an example. So you're going to take this pigtail here. Alright, see that? And then you're going to take this pigtail here. And then we'll take this pigtail and put it here. And this is going to be a good example for you guys to see. Alright, so you'll see that I've put a pigtail at all 3 points. Let me back this camera out because I don't think... There we go. So now you got pigtails at all 3 points. So basically you're going to take these 2 wires here. They'll go together. And this wire here. Alright. And then you're going to tie in. Oops. And then you're going to tie in your power, your feeder to these. Of course, it's not going to cooperate with me. I'm trying to get out of my own light here. Alright, let me do it this way. Alright, so we have one here, here, and here. Take these 2. You can either connect them or solder them together. And these go here. And then you're going to put your power feeder to this. So that way your power feeder is going to power all 3 points. Now we're not done yet. And as you can see, I just broke one. So that's why I'm saying you gotta be careful. So we're not done yet. So now let's say we got our feeders all wired in. I'll take these out of the way for right now. So you got your feeders all wired in. So let's take a look at your common, return, ground, however you want to call it. So there's a couple different things that you'll have to do depending on how you put the switch in. So let's put the switch this way. And let's say this is the outside rail. Here is your return or common. As you can see, that flows just fine. But when you go to when you go to switch, okay, now it comes along and that breaks at this frog. So now you got a broken link here. So unfortunately, you're going to have to jump out that one. So you'll take that wire, that'll go there. This wire will go here. And then you'll jump across, and I'll keep getting in the way as far as the sheet. So you can see what you got to do now. Of course, under the layout. But let's say this is your common and you put it in this way. Well, that's a whole different issue now. Because now when you make a turn, it's a complete circuit. If you go straight, it's not. So now we got to take this pin out and put it here. take this pin out and put it here. And once again, tie it together. Alright, so hopefully that explains it a little bit more. How you have to wire in a Gargraves switch. It is a little bit extra work. Ross does offer the option of having their switches pre-wired if you would like to pay the extra fee for that. Or you can do it yourself, but with Gargraves switches you are on your own doing it yourself, which I'm fine with, because being a diesel mechanic for 33 years, wiring for me is no big deal. And cutting and modifying and building, is all that stuff is, for a person of my caliber, no big deal. But for somebody who's just starting out, I do realize that's a little overwhelming. So if you're not good with electrical or how current should flow, using a multimeter, using a tools such as a Dremel tool or a cutoff tool, then Gargraves track isn't really for you. And let's face it, not a lot of people are high railers, because the high rail O-scale trains are a lot more expensive. I'm aware there's more semi-scale O-gaugers out there than there is high rail people. But I made this for those who might have been interested in seeing a little bit more about the track.